Welcome and thank you for joining me today. I am so excited to have a special guest. I can't think of an attorney that embodies service to this profession more than the person that you're about to meet. She is one of the hardest working attorneys in the legal profession. She has her own firm. She works as co-counsel for a number of different firms on different cases. She works with the ABA. She is a fierce proponent of access to justice. My guest today is attorney Kimberly Russell.
Thanks, James. Way to set the bar low for me.
Thanks for coming on today. I know that you're involved in a million things, so, tell me about them. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be here all day if I just leave it open-ended for you to go into your list. Let's start with what you're doing now. So if you wouldn't mind telling the viewers, what are you working on nowadays?
Well, besides this podcast right now with you, James, I am running two businesses. One is my law firm, and that is a mix of fractional litigation services for other firms. I'm of counsel or co-counsel or contract with other firms that are doing big high-stakes litigation. And I'm building it towards supporting small businesses, nonprofits, and creators who need fractional general counsel help as well. So litigation services as well as fractional general counsel. My other business is a legal comms business called Legalese, and we are focused on helping with legal marketing as well as litigation comms strategy. So those are my two focuses right now.
Okay, and take us through both of those if you wouldn't mind. So before meeting you, I had never heard of fractional counsel. So if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about what that is.
It is, I don't even know if it's an official word. Maybe I've come up with it myself, but it's basically, I'm in contact with a bunch of firms that have high stakes litigation. They need very specialized skills from attorneys who have backgrounds in complex briefing, in complex litigation that has to do with really high stakes. And I have been helping on briefing. I've assisted on trials. I come in and just plug in wherever these firms need me when they need a helping hand. So I've assisted on high stakes trial in pretrial, and then I assisted on a trial recently in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then I am assisting on a trial coming up in Maryland. And I work with whoever needs me. And it's a really neat learning experience because you get to see how different attorneys run their practice, how they run their trial teams. You learn things that you want to implement. You learn things that you might want to do better when you're running the show. All those types of things. So it's a really cool process, and it's neat to be in the trenches with people that are so inspiring and so talented. I have learned so much by being in the fractional litigation role. Again, I feel like that might be a name that I'm making up, but it's just another way to say co-counsel or of counsel or,
Sure.
Contract attorney.
Sure. I love it. And I love the shameless plug for Pittsburgh right there. You've secured at least 5 more appearances on the show. Pittsburgh's my hometown, obviously. And so shout out to the Steelers.
Go Steelers.
That's right. What led you to get into fractional counsel? Is that something that you just kind of fell into? Was it something you had a drive to push into to help?
Well, so I never saw myself opening my own business, and I just jumped into it. I felt called to at the time. It just felt like the right time to open up my own shop. I love it, but there's so much that I've learned about actually running a business in addition to practicing law. And I really enjoy learning about that. And I would like to help other people who are innovators build out their ideas and make them more successful while providing them legal protections that they absolutely need.
You seem really passionate about the spread of knowledge. Can you tell me more about that and what drives you to want to help educate other people so much?
Knowledge is power. I am a first-generation attorney. My mom was the first in my family to graduate college. My dad didn't finish college. And I am where I am today because I have realized that almost everything is figure-outable, right? And so access to education and knowledge is power. And that's how we grow and we innovate and we succeed. Where we grow stale is when we stop learning. And if we don't have access to ideas and how to implement those ideas, that's when we procrastinate and we can't grow and all. So I'm very passionate about making a way forward because we can't get that path without the education. Sometimes we don't even know what we don't know. And it's getting to that core of an answer.
So how does your legalese channel fit into that? What are you doing with that platform to try to accomplish those goals?
So Legalese is the name of my legal comms business, but it is also my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel serves two purposes. I call it my segmented audience. So one audience is professional development for lawyers, for young lawyers, for aspiring lawyers, and for small firm and solo practitioners. So what can you do to build your career? What can you do to, especially if you're a first generation attorney or somebody who, like, you're a woman or you come from another marginalized background, how do you get access to opportunities in the profession? Because I wouldn't be where I am without wonderful people who have helped me along the way and given me amazing opportunities and insight. So I am super passionate about passing that along. So that's one segment, going back to that education element. That's one segmented audience. The other audience is legal news. So it's giving access to legal knowledge that's normally gate kept. So how can we help people understand the law so that it helps them navigate the world at large?
And do you find that there's a big generational gap there in the way attorneys and just the general public consumes their news? Like, do you try to bridge that gap so that young people can use social media and TikTok and everything, but then also, connect with?
That's a great question. My shorts, I looked at the demographics so far on my shorts on YouTube, and they are actually skewing like 40s, 50s, and 60s, which surprised me. But I think people are consuming news different. So my background before law school, I was a news producer. My parents were both broadcast journalists. So I come from a background of taking complex information and digesting it down to anywhere between a 4th to 8th grade reading level. That's changed from your formal, thank you so much for joining us, I'm Kimberly Russell on Channel 4, to, all right, here's what's going on, and it needs to be 30 seconds or less, like 15 seconds on a short that people are going to watch. So it's definitely, the format has changed how people get their information and consume it.
That's a challenge for us attorneys sometimes. We are pretty verbose. We like to hear ourselves talk. So I imagine compressing those messages down to 30 seconds can be a challenge sometimes.
Clearly, I mean, I'm talking a lot on this episode, so making it concise is. I had a friend who watched one of my episodes. She joked with me. She said, "I feel like I am jumping in on chapter 5 of a book that I didn't read the first 4 chapters of."
Right. Well, I mean, we've been talking for 10 minutes and we're 3 pages into your resume. So news journalists, business coach, fractional counsel, doing everything, of course. Let's transition a little bit into your firm. So you're doing all of these other things with, co-counsel, you're training and coaching attorneys. What's your goal ultimately with your own practice?
I would really like to take all 3 of my passions and skills, which ultimately boil down to complex litigation, public policy, and communications, to take big, high-stakes ideas and drive them forward in a meaningful way. So how do we help people achieve the results that they want to achieve, especially if they're very mission-driven or looking to help a wide swath of people in a positive way? How can we help get that mission forward with all 3 of those tools? So litigation, public policy, and comms. How do we do that? That's what I'm working towards.
And, you and I have spoken about this a lot, off camera, just about the mission of access to justice and getting people more help. Are you seeing barriers as you're trying to get that off the ground to actually bringing representation to more people? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing to try to bridge that gap?
There are a lot of challenges that I'm seeing, depending on the client. Whether I'm helping somebody individually or if I'm helping somebody with their small business or their nonprofit, it comes down to the pricing model, really, of lawyers. And I had one client who was referred to me because they needed high stakes representation, but nobody would take it on without an initial retainer of $50,000. And these were people who needed really pivotal services. I mean, huge life-changing services. And they didn't have that type of money laying around to even get started on that process. So we were able to work out something that fit their model more, and I was able to utilize my skills from the complex litigation and high stakes that I've done in the past to help them in their needs. But it has been, I mean, that was the biggest bar for them is they didn't have 50 grand to drop up front, and they knew that wasn't going to be the final price tag on it.
This is something that I hear every day. When we're talking about access to justice, there's a million programs out there. There's pro bono, legal aid, law clinics. They're all great. But what we really run into are people being able to afford our services, being able to afford the traditional model. And so, I'm always a big fan of talking about the fair practice model. I know you subscribe to the fair practice model. That's financially accessible, innovative representation. Can you talk just for a second about how that fair practice model helps make your services more accessible to clients?
Sure. So with my business with a lot of what I do, I try to either price it as a flat fee, or I do it with an upfront deposit, and then we do a payment plan. And I make very clear in our agreement, here's my hourly rate, here's how we're going to bill this. Every month I'm going to send you, a summary of activities that I've done so that you know. And then I make very clear in our agreement, when you're going to be charged, how this money moves out of the trust account, just like you would do in any other engagement agreement. And then we go from there. And it's worked really well so far. My clients have been extremely happy. They've referred me more clients, and they repeat business with me.
Yeah. And the financially accessible is obviously a key part of that acronym, but the part I focus on all the time is innovative. You are an absolute innovator. The key to this model is using technology, scheduling automated payments. All of us hate having accounts receivables, but when you schedule on their payday for a reasonable amount, attorneys have a tough time recognizing that $250 every 2 weeks is $6,000 a year. And unless it's very complicated, high stakes litigation, most litigation isn't going to outpace that. And the people that are in more complex litigation than that can typically afford to pay for that little bit, a little bit higher rate. So I've always respected and appreciated that about you, even from a young age. A lot of us are indoctrinated into this, nope, if they don't have $5,000, they're not worth your time. So I've always been impressed with your desire to close that access to justice gap and bring help to more people.
I am so passionate about innovating the legal industry and making it to where we preserve the rule of law, but also provide greater access to justice. How do we do that in a way that's going to preserve how valuable our service is, what we do, our time, but also makes it more accessible and also makes it more efficient, right? What are tools that we can use to make better use of our time so that we can bring that billable hour down? I think there are a lot of attorneys who are intimidated by technology sometimes, and they think this is going to replace what I do. But I think that that's a backwards mindset sometimes. If we are looking at things, if we're looking at innovation in a way that says, okay, this is actually a time saver, how many more clients can you take on? How many more people can you serve?
That brings me with a really easy transition to your work with the ABA. So, part of being able to bring these principles to the masses. It's great for you to offer the fair practice model, and it's great for me to embrace it also. But unless we have a large amount of people willing to help, it doesn't come through as effectively. If you wouldn't mind just telling our viewers what you do at the ABA and what you might be doing at the ABA in the future.
Sure. I am a huge American Bar Association nerd. I love the American Bar Association. Service to this profession is a huge priority to me. It is such a privilege to be able to be around like-minded attorneys who have this same attitude of how do we make our profession better? How do we bring access to justice to everybody who needs it? What needs to change? How do we improve what's going on? And being a part of the American Bar Association, whether that's in the Young Lawyers Division, the General Practice and Solo Practitioner Division, litigation, the tort trial, and insurance practice, those are all sections that I'm involved in. There are so many opportunities to either write content, to help produce content, to lead CLEs, webinars, to serve on policy initiatives, to vote on assembly, all of these things. There's so many things that the ABA does that shapes the profession. And there's so many people that get together virtually and in person to talk about all of this. And we get so excited and we talk about everything that's changing and how we can make it better. And we're so hopeful. And it is something that, as much as I like to give into it, it re-energizes me because of the hope and the ideas. So I'm very involved with the ABA, but it's something that is easy for me to do because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's obviously I'm a member of the ABA as well. I don't do 1/1000th of the work that you do, but it's a real joy to be part of an organization where every room you're in, you can just feel the energy that you're there with selfless people that just want to help make society a better place, make it more fair, make it more just. So I'm with you on that. It's a really great experience.
And I've gotten business. I mean, every time that I've gone to any conference, I walk away with an ROI, right? So every time that I go, I come back either with more opportunities to co-counsel with people or they've referred me business. And so it's worth the investment just for that. But also the community to me is one of the biggest things. It's finding those attorneys that you can rely on when you have a question, whether it's about what do I need to do to negotiate a raise at my firm, or what do I need to do if I want to step out and start my own firm. There's somebody that's already done that at the ABA and they're willing to talk to you about it. And it's really neat.
And usually willing to invite you on a committee to talk about it. That's the thing I loved, is that there's 100 different interests that you can subscribe to. If it's access to justice, great. If it's, AI use in law, there's something really for everybody. So I definitely recommend, if you're out there and you're not part of the ABA and engaged, please do so. You'll find it to be a very rewarding experience. And Kimberly, I just want to thank you for being on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I could have you here for 3 hours talking about everything that you do, but I know with all you do, you probably have somewhere you have to jet set off to run a meeting or start a new program. So I really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks so much, Jamie. I have so enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining me today. If you're anything like me, you might be feeling a little bit inadequate after that episode. I'm going to go out and do some charity work, try to get involved in my community to keep up with Kimberly's resume over here. In the meantime, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. And in the comments below, please let me know what you're doing to be a service to the profession. And we'll see you in the next episode.